Good day everyone, my name is Adjo Forimensa and this video aims to review the famous Emotional Purity, An Affair of the Heart book by Heather Arnel Paulsen. I have personally read this book and I was entirely blessed. It offers a wide range of advice for young people to preserve themselves, not just from the traditional physical purity, but also emotional purity, how to guard your heart and how to relate with people of the opposite sex to ensure that you do not get unnecessarily emotionally attached to somebody who will not be your future spouse. Okay, so the author Heather Arnel Paulsen, she got married in 2003. She has 2 young children. She's based in Illinois, and she's actually committed to encouraging Christian singles to pursue emotional purity, because again, as mentioned before, the Bible focuses a lot on abstinence from sex, so physical purity, but there's not much pinpoint on just focusing on keeping your emotions pure. So she enjoys doing this and mentoring and counseling young women. Okay, so this is just a synopsis of the book. I try my best not to ruin it for you guys, so you actually go out and buy the book and be blessed. So it talks about Christians who are emotionally unstable. So Christians perhaps who they have everything together, they have this together, they're spiritually committed, they pray in tongues, they do all this, but then emotionally they're unstable, possibly due to previous relationships, past relationships, etc. And it addresses on how to make sure you don't get yourself there, and if you're there, how to come out of that. And it also talks about people who are emotionally attached to people. So again, like I mentioned, sometimes we can get emotionally attached to people, especially people who are vulnerable and weak, and perhaps not used to receiving a certain attention or a certain love or a certain care from people who are in their immediate surroundings, like their siblings or their father or their mother or whatever. So the moment they meet somebody who can offer that, they tend to be emotionally connected to the person, and that is not a good habit, especially if the person is not going to end up as your husband. So again, another point that it talks about is male-female friendships with no commitment to pursuing marriage. I, for one, I'm a big fan of defining relationships. Like if you're friends with somebody, make sure it's clearly defined, that the person knows that this is where you stand in terms of attraction and connection with the person, and then allow the person to decide whether they still want to stick around, knowing that this is the basis of the friendship. And another way that growing up I learned how to treat everybody as your brother and sister. So for me personally, for some people who I see as my brother or a sister, obviously you wouldn't date your brother, you wouldn't date your sister, right? So that's where I would sort of draw the line. If somebody's a brother to me, that's obviously I see them as a brother and that's it. And if somebody's a friend to me, like I see them as a friend, then of course the relationship has to be defined to be at that level. And it talks about defining and setting boundaries in your relationships to avoid making the same mistakes. I've touched upon that before. Personally speaking, anytime I've dated people here and there, and I've actually learned from every relationship in the past what I did wrong, how maybe I was treated or treated the other person, and how I can learn from that to make sure that I better myself for the next relationship. So last point being guarding your heart and keeping your emotions pure. The Bible has this is actually one of my favorite Bible verses. It says that guard your heart, because the Bible verse talks about guard your heart diligently, because out of it comes all the issues of life. So if your heart is in the right place, if your heart is steadfast in the word of God, if your heart is not messed about or toiled about, it helps to keep your emotions pure, right? So that's some of the things that it mentions. Okay, so advantages and disadvantages. Of course, every review has to have a sort of a balanced, just so you know or set your expectations before you buy the book. So the first advantage is that it has a counterculture view. Counterculture meaning that it's a subculture whose values and norms of behavior differ substantially from those of mainstream society, so often in opposition to mainstream cultural mores. And second point being different array of keeping pure than the usual abstinence from sex. Again, like I mentioned in the beginning, even in church, not just from reading the Bible, even in church or Sunday school or in youth group or whatever, they emphasize more on abstain from sex, keep yourself. But there's not much light shed upon keep your emotions pure, which is very important, because if your emotions are not secure, it will affect your relationship and in turn, influence you to perhaps have premarital sex. So emotional purity is very important in that regard. And there's a lot of references to Bible verse. This person is actually a Christian. And this point is important to a lot of Christians, because sometimes when you're reading a book, you want to know where exactly is this person getting the information from. And the first disadvantage is that people say that it's difficult to apply her principles in today's modern world. I, for one, I thought the book was beautiful. I didn't exactly have any disadvantage, but I do see where this point is coming from, because in today's society, it's very common to, be friendly towards everyone. And sometimes you yourself, you might be doing the right thing. You might be setting boundaries, defining relationship, doing this, doing that, but then the other person may not exactly be receiving the message you're sending across. And if even if you say to the person may still subconsciously think, maybe I might have a relationship with this person. It's difficult to apply, because if you're used to spending so much time with somebody, then of course it's difficult to kind of draw the line, especially if you have you're really close to the person. The second point being that most of the content is drawn from research and own perspective. So this point is for people who there's some people that they would only read the Bible and perhaps maybe books from well-renowned preacher men or whatever, or preacher woman, and perhaps if there's research for relationships based on somebody with a psychology background or something, for example, they might not feel like they need to read that book because they feel like maybe it might conflict with their beliefs. But in this case, I can assure that this person herself is a Christian, and any research that was done was based on research and statistics of things that are actually happening at the moment. And of course, own perspective that she adds as well, because she feels as though because she was able to keep her emotions pure, hence why she was able to make good choices in life. The last point being that the book is written based on an opening story, which narrows the content to a specific incident. So without spoiling the book, it begins two characters, a male and a female, that were very close, but the relationship wasn't defined. So in the end, there was consequences that was experienced. So for some people, they might feel like this is a situationally based book and may not necessarily apply to everyone at large. So that is it. That is the end of the review. Go out on Amazon, click the link below and purchase this book, and make sure to check out my website as well, my blog, and yeah, be blessed from this book. Have a beautiful day. Thank you.